Doing this 7-day positivity challenge has really gotten deep and unleashed a lot of things within me that I haven't realized. So before I go any further, let me encourage you to take part in it. You're really going to have to go deep into yourself. It's kind of like a spiritual fast. We're fasting from negativity. And by fasting from negativity, well, guess what? There are going to be a lot of cravings for negativity. Anything for our pain body to escape and to drag us down and to drag other people down. But you have to remain strong. And if there's one thing I know about fasts, it's that, look, as soon as you start going on them, you start detoxing. And the detoxing can feel pretty crummy, right? It's like, wow, I don't have my safety blanket anymore. It's thrown off. But one thing I know about that work is that afterwards you feel so much better. Afterwards you get to a new heightened state of awareness and progress in your body, mind, and soul. So what I've been thinking about recently is how easy it is to be in a really great place, but to not enjoy being there because you're not accepting where you are. For example, maybe you have it in your head that today is a work day for you. It's an utter work day, and you're going to work all day long through. You're not going to take one break. You're just going to keep working. But then guess what? You get distracted for a second, and now you're listening to this. And then you start beating yourself up, and you go, oh, why did I do that? I'm such a bad person. I can never follow through. I can never commit. I wanted to do all this other stuff. Or maybe what's worse, that you had a plan for today, right? But something came up. A family member needed you. Or a friend could only meet at this one specific time, and he changed times on you, and you have to switch it all around, and you start thinking to yourself, God, this sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. I had it all figured out, and now it's not figured out, and everything's chaotic. But you know what? It can be so easy to forget why we're doing it in the first place. And to forget that we're doing it for ourselves. For our own edification, growth, prosperity, or just downright happiness. And when we forget that, well, then how do we enjoy those moments? How do we enjoy our life? Now, I have a saying that's an amalgamation, but it's great. It's leap cheerfully and love your fate. But so often I see people who aren't loving their fate. They're stuck in a situation and they're hating on themselves and they're hating on the moment. And this is the thing, and this is the real important part of all of this, that when you get into a situation like that, you have three choices. You can change it, so you can be in that situation, you can nip it in the bud, move on to something else, figure out what you're doing wrong, make an adjustment, and get right back on track. Fine, you can do that. You can totally avoid it or ignore it, disregard it, and just keep going down the path that you're going on and really be fighting it internally but not saying anything and not changing it. You don't want to do that. That never feels good. That only leads to more problems. Or you could just downright accept it. What does that mean? That means not trying to fight it, not trying to be somewhere that you're not trying to go anywhere else, but just accepting exactly where you are and enjoying that and inviting that into your life and saying, hey, this is my fate right now. I'm going to love it, as opposed to fighting it, because I know by fighting it, I don't get anywhere. All I do is get more bruised and bloody. If I got to do this, I might as well enjoy doing it. But look, that's it right there. God, in school, there were so many people who had to write essays or turn in reports or whatever. And the whole time they were dreading it, saying, I don't want to do this. This is the worst work in the world. But they didn't realize why they were doing it. They were doing it because they wanted to do it. They really didn't want to do it. They could have dropped out. They didn't have to be at school at all in the first place. They're doing their job or whatever it is. And the point is, if we're not clear about that stuff, well, then we forget why we're doing it. And when we forget why we're doing it, it's easy to get negative about it. And then as soon as we're negative about it, that's when the linchpin is pulled. That's when it all falls down. That's when it all crumbles and shatters and comes to pieces, and we're sitting there with our hands open going like, why are they empty? And it's really easy to figure out why they're empty. They're empty because we're not finding that passion, that drive, that motivation that's going to take us from point A to point B very clearly and very directly in a way that feels good. We're still wishing that we were somewhere else as opposed to right where we are. And guess what? The grass is never greener. Never greener. There's this one story of a monk who went into a meat market and he asked the butcher, well, will you tell me which meat here is the best? And the butcher said to him, they're all the best. And that was the moment of his enlightenment. And this is a really interesting story because it's so true. If you're going to get the meat, it better be the best meat in the world. And of course, I'm talking about vegan meat that isn't soy. So cashew meat. But I mean, come on. If you pick that cereal out from the aisle and you keep worrying about all the other cereals or all the other posters, you're going to go crazy trying to maximize your happiness. But you can't do. The grass is never greener. Get it out of your mind right now. Get it out. Boom. Done. Mow that lawn. Because as soon as we realize that, we can be here now. We can accept this current moment and enjoy it. We can appreciate it as opposed to wondering what else we could be doing or where else we could be. And I'll guarantee you one thing. If you start getting into that pattern and that habit, you're going to lose yourself. You're going to allow other people to enter into your lives and confuse you and push you off in all different directions. Look, uncertainty is the number one cause of people ruining their lives. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is they're uncertain, so they start looking in all these different directions for answers, and they start accepting the answers of people who they wouldn't otherwise accept answers from because they can't accept their own answers, and they can't get deep within themselves, so they just run around like chickens with their heads cut off. I mean, come on. When you're uncertain of what to do, what do? You look to other people, but the crowd is untruth. They won't lead you to any higher, better place. Because most of the time, everything they're doing wrong, and that's why they're the majority. That's why they're not outstanding, standing out from the crowd. Not everyone can be outstanding. But you can be. You can't be if you do what everyone else is doing. So get positive. Accept right where you are right now. Get positive about that. And if you don't want to be there, change it. But be positive about the change. Don't be negative and complain. Complaining is toxic. So much love, many blessings, and do the 7-day challenge.